This is episode 17, a trio episode with guests Zoe and Angela as we talk about moving your mood and our masterclass coming up this Sunday.
How do I become my own best friend? And it's these simple things like just showing up and moving. I've had to go through a lot of silent moments in my life to really listen to myself. I can distract myself with so many things that feel like my best friend, but it's really sitting in the silence is where I really learned.
Welcome back to the Living on Purpose podcast. This is your host, Kathryn Ziegler. This is a place where we discuss the importance of purpose in our lives and connect with others that have created soul-aligned offerings that build into their own personal purpose. So glad to have you on this episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and I would love it if you would share the Living on Purpose podcast with others that you feel like it would resonate with. I'm so grateful to you and all of the amazing listeners for helping me to grow this podcast and share the guests that come on here and their messages with more people. All right, I'm here today with Zoe Levine, founder of The Thriving Body, and Angela Marquez, founder of Move Your Mood. And Zoe has a whole offering around pain-free fitness and movement, bringing balance that carries you through your day with energy and ease. And Angela's promoting her Move Your Mood, which is all about emotional release and self-exploration through meditation. So these two have come together. Angela has put together this amazing event that we're doing this Sunday, along with KLZ Method. She invited me in, and I'm super excited to be with them to just kind of talk a little bit more about the magic that comes together. We've just had a little meeting talking about sort of all the different dynamics of what this event will be like and talking through all the different things around it. And I just had to suggest that we jump on this call to be able to kind of share how these things come together. I'm talking about our purpose, and there's just so much juice in this conversation that I literally was just like, can we just pull this and do it live to share more about that? So Angela, do you want to start just sharing a little bit about how this event was created and what you feel like is how and why it's relevant to purpose?
Yeah. Thank you, Kathryn, for having me on this podcast. Living on purpose is why we're all here. I think it's such a perfect blend of why we're talking today. For me, I grew up as a dancer, and there was this purpose of I could never let go of that, and I had to figure out what that was. And so through motherhood, I've just reached out to community and met people like you two along the way. So both Zoe and Kathryn, both of you have been a huge part of my motherhood journey and my finding my purpose journey. And so whenever I decided to make a masterclass, I'm like, okay, who are my masters? Which I know is a big word, but who has led me in this direction to live my purpose? And you two were just like, ding, like the first, obviously, names that came in my head. And so, yeah, I just think it's so cool to be able to come together and show people what we do in just this little bite-sized way, because I know I've done both of your works, and both of your works have made such a big impact on my physical body, my emotional body, my spiritual body, how I show up in the world. So I just want it to be able to give everybody that bite-sized taste of the magic you guys have given to me, and that I know that I can offer to them as well.
I love it. Angela is so fantastic in her movement. It's so beautiful. Her expression is so stunning, and it just really calls you in such a deep way. And she's such an amazing producer. I had the opportunity. It was so funny when we were in Costa Rica for Meg Sylvester's event, and I had told you that I'm like, I found the stage, and I feel like I had to go stand on the stage and just say, this is my stage. And I don't know why I needed to say that. And I just remember seeing this look in your eye when you were like, I think that was for me. I think I'm a producer. I think I'm supposed to produce a show. And so here we are. I mean, this is literally sort of the beginning of that, you know? I mean, I feel like that there's a lot more in that or whatever, but she's an amazing producer. You produced a ton of shows, right? Before
Before motherhood, it was all about the show, where now it feels a little more emotional, but yep.
Yeah. Well, and like taking the show now into this space where you're moving emotions and doing it in a different way than sort of like producing for the overall aesthetic and all that kind of thing. Now you're like really taking it from the external into the internal. It's really cool. I'm so happy about this. It's just so cool how it came together. And then Zoe, who I've just met today on this call, do you want to share more about how this aligns with your purpose and some of your background as well? I'm just getting to know her, so I'm excited to hear more about it myself.
Of course. So I think I actually want to start. I will get to how this is about my purpose, but I do want to add to what Angela is saying. And I know the little bit that I know about your work too, Kathryn, as well, that everything that we're doing in this event that we're putting together directly heading towards that. How do we live with purpose or on purpose? And there's many ways to get there, right? Many pathways, but most of them do go through the body somehow, right? It's very hard to live connected and on purpose if we're disconnected from our bodies. So just reiterating for anyone listening out there looking or trying to figure out how do I find my purpose? How do I connect to intuition? How do I figure out what's next? And I just would say that all of these modalities are going to be they're little teasers into larger bodies of work, but they're also three unique pathways in to that place to connect to your body and to start to learn. It's a skill, right? All of these things are skills. This idea of living on purpose, it can even be a skill. It doesn't have to be something that you have or you have not. And this is just beautiful, magical ways in. So if you were on the fence about joining, that's one thing that I would definitely say. And I will say one of the major things that got me into what I do now, I also grew up as a dancer. I've spent most of my time working with adults on pain-free movement, getting into the nervous system and fascia and natural movements and all of those lovely things. But one thing that's really stuck with me and talk about finding your purpose. One of the biggest things, in addition to feeling good in your body, right? Being pain free and feeling good in your body is a big deal. But also, I went through a cancer journey years ago, and one of the like beautiful phoenix that came out of that those ashes were when I was done with treatment. For 1 year, I ended up kind of starting every day with the question, what if I just moved first thing with music and doing what am I doing? I'm just doing whatever my body wants to do, right? So I just put on music, listen to my body, move in that way for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. What if I did that very first thing every day? What would happen? And what happened was it was kind of the most amazing, magical healing experience ever. It was,
Mm,
and talk about decisions, like it was a great way to kind of understand what's next. Sometimes it was just emptying my head. Sometimes it shifted my energy and my mood, like Angela talks about all the time. And there's so much came out of it, before I have to do this and I should do this and I have to do that. As a mother, as a business owner, as a human, there's a lot of stuff in the I should and I need to. But putting my body first was one of the most amazing things that I've ever done. And then by the end of that, after a year, I said, I think I can and should do this to lead other people to this magic. And that's how the Rise Collective was born. That and COVID helped. So we started this Gather and Rise situation when everyone was stuck in their houses and we were all kind of miserable. And I needed a reason to get up in the morning and I needed a reason to rise. I needed to gather with other people. And that's how the Rise Collective got started. And we're still dancing for 15 minutes every morning, Monday through Friday at this point. And it really was all about what you can do, not what you can't do. Like I went through a sprained ankle. I went through, healing from a million surgeries and chemotherapy and all the things and radiation. And it's like, there are a lot of things I couldn't do. Right. But there's so
right.
much that you can do. Put on some music and listen to your body and see what's available to you. So that's kind of where this particular purpose and passion came from. And I love that we're still going. And I love that Angela has been building this practice of her own. And I can't wait to learn more about what you do, Kathryn. But it all feels related to that. Get inside your body and listen. And there's so much to learn.
Oh my gosh. Wow. You guys are witnessing firsthand me falling in love because And that was that was probably the most I've never not interrupted somebody in my entire life. I think I deserve a trophy because that was, I have to commend myself on that. There's just so many layers to what you're saying that I 1000%, just know to be true. I mean, I always say our body is a high precision tool. It's the most advanced technology on the planet. We know how to use an iPhone, we know how to use all these technologies, but we're not recognizing what our body can actually do for us and how it does it. It's so stunning the way that we process things, and being able to connect through movement is just so paramount. I love how you're sharing, listening to your body. It's a relationship. It's your best friend. It takes you through everything. When you are, not in a relation with your friend, when you're not listening to your friends, are you really good friends? No. You have to listen. You have to kind of have that dynamic where your body feels listened to. And once it does feel listened to, there's so much that comes out, and it just offers you so much guidance towards purpose, towards enriched life, towards health, towards ease, towards all of these things. It's just so beautiful, everything that you have shared. And it's, the five pillars of what KLZ method is about. It's all about, it's first connecting to your body through your senses, connecting to your body through your emotions, connecting to your body through your movement, connecting to yourself in a bigger way through other people. And then, of course, connecting to Mother Earth, connecting to nature. And those things really bring us into this place where as technology continues to grow and we see this whole thing happening where people are going into the automated systems, and as a culture, we're so pulled into convenience. We're just pulled into this ease and this comforted life, but we lose ourselves when we go into those algorithms. We lose ourselves to the programming. We become sort of, these robots if we're not balancing it. And it's not to say that we can't do algorithms or we can't do technology. We just have to have a balance between our body and our truth, our essence. They can't create that. Technology cannot duplicate humans because of that essence that we have, and it's being sort of passed off. And if we don't reclaim it, we will lose it. So we already see people walking around that look sort of like they're in a whole other world. They're like with those Google glasses and stuff like that. It's like, come back to your body. It is so cool here. There's so much here. I love it. Angela, do you have anything to layer on that? I imagine so.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that lesson of becoming your own best friend, and how invaluable that is. And I'm just learning that. Like, I felt like I had to fall in love with myself first, and
Yeah,
it was this
right.
whole love relationship. But now I'm like, okay, I've had to go through a lot of silent moments in my life to really listen to myself. And a lot of times I can distract myself with so many things that feel like my best friend, but it's really sitting in the silence is where I really learned that lesson.
We both went through this too. You had a hip situation last year, and I had a hip replacement surgery a few years ago. And it was really funny in that time for me. Okay, funny is not really funny, but it was interesting that while I was going through that, I was teaching a lot of classes and stuff, and the girls that were in my classes were saying we're seeing the softening of KLZ, like
Yeah.
literally the softening of my body. As my muscles were not getting the usual workout that they were getting, and also the softening of me, because in the restriction and not being able to do what I love, like I told myself, I'm like, I feel like I'm KLZ without my method. I couldn't even sit to do a meditation. I couldn't go into nature. You know what I mean? I was just there, and it was so stuck. It felt so tough. But, in those moments, and I think we've all had those times where it's like you can't work out for whatever reason. You've got too many things to do, or um, you're injured or whatever it might be. I've been sort of like in this place in my past where I've been upset with myself. Oh, I've got to just get to a workout. But what I've really found to be even more cool about it is that when you get to come back to that workout, or when you get to come back to those hikes, or you get to come back to it, it's all there. You didn't miss anything. It's this opportunity of like contraction and expansion. And sometimes you just contract a lot harder. And when you expand a lot further. So in those moments when you have those injuries that take you inside, you have to go deeper. You're only cultivating roots that go deeper. I'm not advocating don't move if you've got the availability to move. I'm just taking off sort of this hustle culture that wants us to feel like we always need to be going and we have to always be doing all these things. And if you're not getting your 5 workouts in a week or whatever it is, then you've somehow failed. Like there are a lot of opportunities in those moments when you are healing, or when you are injured, or when you are resting, fuck, man, just resting. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not about a workout. Sometimes it is just taking a damn day off. I think that there's just a lot of wisdom in those elements of it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And celebrating the softness.
Mm.
Like that's something I really had to learn. Like, wow, I didn't do that today. I chose
Hmm.
to not go. Good job. Instead
Hmm.
of that fear of missing out feeling or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's really congratulating myself and those soft wins.
Yeah. We've all kind of been through this. And it's funny, I grabbed my tea from downstairs before we started, and it says, the little tea insights on traditional medicine. It says, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. So just pulling some wisdom from the tea,
Thanks,
reading my
T.
tea leaves. you know. So do you guys want to talk more about what we're going to do, how this is going to go on Sunday? This is going to be an hour and a half long. Angela, do you want to go ahead and just pop in and share more about the details of it?
Yeah. So Sunday, we're going to be meeting 9 a.m. Mountain Time. And we will be doing just kind of an opening meditation to kind of drop us into our bodies. And then each one of us are going to get 20 minutes to give you kind of a Cliff Notes version of what we do and how we do it. So, really, probably our favorite tips and tricks, each one of us will be sharing those within those 20 minutes. And yeah, just hopefully you guys can see these different ways that you can bring movement into your life a little bit more naturally
Yeah.
without so much force.
So again, just to reiterate, Angela just said, "Hey, I know I want to do a masterclass. I know I want to have these two on. I know what you guys do. How do we want to do this?" And now just before we jumped on here, we're kind of mashing together like what is exactly going to happen. Oh, should you go first? Should I go first? And whatever. And it's just so cool. It's so fun to create these events when you just know the magic is going to be there. When you come into these kind of experiences with other people, it's like the collaborative magic is so cool.
Yeah,
So
and it really is stemming from a place of trust. And I do want to reiterate that, like, I trust you women so much because it's not just that I think your work is awesome. I've actually got a chance to experience both of them. Um, I've done with Zoe, I've did a 12-week postpartum recovery pelvic floor restoration, which completely rebuilt my body. And I give her credit for why I'm dancing again, because in my mind, I was never dancing again, right? You go through having a baby and you think you're never going to be the same. But after that class, I walked out being like, I can dance again. I am capable of this. Her Rise mornings that she mentioned are so magical. It's a group of women that we meet Monday through Friday and dance for 15 minutes. And then I've also got to experience some pretty cool experiences with you, Kathryn, doing psilocybin. And that there's some trust, right? There's some trust. I'm going to trust you guys with my pelvic floor and trying some mushrooms. Right? There's some major trust here with you guys. And the outcomes have only made me stronger, have only made me more in tune with myself, has really awakened the physical and emotional body within me. So yeah, choosing you guys comes from trust.
It's so cool. I love it. And there's also this really neat element that happens when you have sort of the mastery of the masculine and feminine energy. So when you have an idea of what the essence of the feminine energy is, as far as like the collaboration and the receiving and all that kind of stuff. But then when you create some sort of structure where you say, I want these things, I want these people, I want this time, and you just set a structure and then you allow the other things to kind of flow in. It just is so awesome. It's so magical. I really love it. We had that experience with Collaboration Summit in Denver like 2 years ago when we had that time to meet together, where it was like, let's do these things. I don't know how this is going to happen. And they all organized and they even brought in extra bonuses. It was wild. It was just so fun. So coming into this,
Universe irons it out for us.
yes, in a way that if you can let go of control, if you can just say, this is what it's going to be, now sprinkle your fairy dust on it. It just comes together in such a cool way. And so, yeah, come and be with us live on this Sunday. It's going to be amazing. I'm excited. So I'm really called to share a little bit more about what I'm pulling in. I've studied Native American, some of the Native American lineage with the Hopi tribe. It's a non-native lineage. It's not appropriation. This has been gifted to white people as with the adage being, it's white people that have brought darkness to these lands. It's white people that have to come and clear it. And so it was Rolling Rock that had this prophecy that he would pass his medicine to white people and help them to bring the planet back into alignment. And so with my background as a personal trainer and a, yoga instructor and kundalini and Reiki and psilocybin and all these things, I've created sort of this workout that calls in the directions from what I have learned from that non-native lineage, call in the directions. We'll use some kundalini to call in the energy, and we'll really set a solid and sacred space just right off the bat. We'll do some movement. I've got my 4 favorite movements that I love to do. It's all dynamic stretching, so we're simultaneously stretching and strengthening, and then it's also upper and lower body at the same time. So we're moving a curl with a lunge. So we'll get nice and warmed up and juiced up, and then I'll pass to Zoe. And do you want to share more about what you're going to do, Zoe?
Sure.
Or do you
Yes.
want to keep it a surprise?
Yeah, absolutely. What I am bringing then is what I will call it'll be a movement adventure in what I call movement vitamins. And this comes from just the general idea that we're all missing a lot of movements, right? Our everyday life is not super conducive to movement. It's also not super conducive to being pain free, right? So it's about playing with and having fun with some of these movement vitamins. We might do, I don't think I want to give away the types of movements. The idea is it will be different though, than it'll be a nice shift from the more formed exercises that you might do with Kathryn, where what I'll do is I'll give you a prompt that will include something like, so one simple one would be just getting up and down from the floor, but having you try to do that with music that makes it more fun, and you're kind of dancing your way up and dancing your way down at whatever speed. You don't have to get all the way down to the floor. It's based on what you can do, right? Maybe you're getting down to a sofa and back up, but you're trying to do it a different silly way or a different way. It doesn't have to be silly every time. But the idea is to listen to your body as you move, no matter what movement vitamin I'm kind of taking you on a tour through, and to get outside of the box. So we tend to do the same couple of movements all the time. We have the same kinds of reaches to maybe get something out of the cabinet. We have the same kinds of ways we sit. And my my section of this workshop is going to be all about helping you to think outside the box and move a lot of your parts that don't often get to move. So it can feel silly and fun. It can feel adventurous. It can feel just really good to move in all these different ways that we tend to get a little creaky or stuck into. We'll just kind of bust out of that and have some fun doing it and treat it like a little movement adventure.
I love it.
I'll pass it on to Angela after that.
Lovely. Yeah, and then I'll come in with Move Your Mood, just to do some little mood boost and motivation and just some self-love. And then, like, I like to think of joy as this little girl who lives in my heart and just kind of awakening her a little bit and giving her some space to play, giving her some space to express, and maybe feel something she hasn't felt in a while, leaving you kind of just hopefully with a little bit more mental clarity and space for your own thoughts.
I love it.
I really enjoy picking the playlist. So the jams will be there. I promise.
The jams will definitely be there. Yes.
Like one of my favorite pieces is curating that playlist to make sure that it really resonates with either the prompt or the movement that's given.
So. Same. Your playlists are killer. And I agree. It's totally essential to have you got to have that motivation, right? So
yeah, and it's what keeps me doing it. I'm like, oh, I got to make another playlist. Great.
Right.
And then the rest comes later.
Or the playlist comes first. And you're like, oh, I think I need to teach another class because this playlist is telling me what I need to do for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, they speak. Those playlists speak for sure.
They do. Spirit definitely moves through it. So we'll be connecting to the body. We'll be connecting to the emotions. We'll be connecting to the movements of it. And there's so much wisdom that comes through in this. I mean, like we're saying, even just about the playlist, like for me, when I'm doing this, when I'm calling in the directions and when I start to do this movement, you move things and you warm them up and then you listen, because once you kind of create or you ask that question or you put that out, then if you can just be quiet and you can listen and you can allow the insight to come back, you will get a response. There will be some kind of nugget of information or wisdom or guidance or support. I mean, we set an intention for yoga classes. Why aren't we doing this with workouts? Why aren't we doing this with other parts of our lives? Anytime you set an intention, you say something and then you put energy behind it. If it's like at church when you light a candle and say a prayer, or if you're singing at church, or if you're doing a yoga class or whatever it is, anytime you set an intention and then put energy behind it, that is a formula. That is a specific formula. It's the laws of the universe. It sets out something. So then you just need to, this next part is listen. That's what the praying is when you're in church. You're then listening for the guidance. So there's definitely going to be, I would say, there's definitely going to be insight, knowledge, wisdom, breakthroughs. So if you've got something that's kind of, I mean, this is just an additional bonus. If you want to move your body, this is it. If you want to move through some emotions, this is it. If you are moving through something that you're kind of stuck with and you don't know what to do, this is it. Like, I don't know what, there's a million different reasons that this is it.
Yeah.
Plus it's just going to be fun, and you can get to know us, and you can be together with a good group of people. So we're saying to bring a bolster, right? Zoe, you want them to bring a bolster, a towel?
Yeah,
And
anything
then,
that you could kind of sit up on to be a little higher than sitting on the floor if we're going to be on the floor for just a bit. But yeah, bolster, a couple towels, a couple blankets, yoga block, any of those things, not all. Just pick one is fine. Yeah.
And then from my side of it, if you want to bring some light weights, like a 5-pound weight or something like that, you can have a couple of those. You don't need them. You don't need them. You can do this as all body weight as well. Angela, do you require anything?
No, not as much space as
I was
possible,
just going to
but
say
also
space.
don't limit yourself. If you can only find a little corner, you can make that corner work for sure.
Yeah.
But space, as much space as possible, so you can really have some fun.
Yes. So that is it. That is this Sunday. We're looking forward to it. The link is in the show notes, so you have access to it. I like to say, and I feel it deeply, this is just a prelude to a live class that I feel like will be coming at some point. I'm all about taking the tours and getting things in person because there's just even all that much more juice with it. So come and check it out and let us know if you have any questions. All right, that was episode 17 with guests Zoe Levine and Angela Marquez. We're doing our combined masterclass this Sunday, March 10th at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. That's 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, and 8 a.m. Pacific Time, in case you have a hard time translating time zones like I do. We'll be doing this class, and it'll be a really great way to just come and check out all of these different modalities. Hope to see you there. You can find tickets at Angela's Instagram page, move.your.mood.